So I think one of the most important things before you sit down to invite, especially, is that you're in the right mindset for inviting, whether that is inviting to challenge groups or whether that's inviting to coaching. So today we're talking about inviting to coaching, which I would say most people would say is the hardest slash scariest part of coaching, because you don't want to invite people and make them feel like it's a pyramid scheme or a scam or whatever. So I know there are a ton of fears around inviting to coaching, and I know that because I've felt them myself. So the first thing I want you to do is just take like 2 minutes right now to make sure that you have a good understanding and intention and heart behind why and where you're inviting from. So let me just give you an example for me. When I sit down to coach, first of all, I'm just going to be honest with you, sometimes it's still scary because people have such a misconstrued version of what we do in their minds a lot of times. So the first thing I do is I think about what coaching has done for me. And for some of you, you are brand new. Like you're brand spanking new and you're like, I don't really know what coaching has done for me yet, but it's probably done something already. So whether that is because you're a coach, like you're already more consistent than you have been in a long time, or because you're a coach, you're here. Like you have this little community of women that you can lean on and that you get to work with. For me, I have a big old crazy story with coaching and why I love it so much, and some of you do too already. So I think about what coaching has done for me, and I think about what I know coaching can do for other people. I think about my income. I think about the fact that I've been able to pay off $30,000 in loans, actually more than that, in the last 2.5 years with coaching only. Like that makes me unafraid. That makes me unafraid to invite people. You may not have that income story, but even if you've filled up your tank of gas with coaching money, that's something that you should not take for granted. Like that is something that a lot of women or men would love to do. If you've been able to get your hair done guilt free because you've had an extra $100, or bought new clothes because you've had an extra $100, like those things are things that people out there would love to be able to do. So make sure you're in the right headspace to invite. So I'm going to put myself on mute. I'm actually going to give you, let's just do a minute. And I want you to think about, why is it important to you that you stay coaching, and what do you think this can do for other people? So just get in the right headspace. Giving you a minute right now to do that. Okay. For those of you that just hopped on, we just took a minute to think about where we're inviting from, like why coaching is something we love and why it's important for us to invite to coaching, like what we think coaching can do for other people. Okay, the second thing I want you to do is to find that coach post you made this week, or if you talked about it on your stories. If not, let me back up a second. I'm going to share my screen with you. If you have not made a post about coaching this week, that's okay. You can really use any post that you've ever made about coaching, honestly. But if you feel like you have a tough time talking about coaching, I want you to save this. Like if you need to take a picture, if you need to write it down, these are some really easy topics when it comes to like, oh, how do I post about coaching? Answer these questions. It's super easy. So if you don't have one to go off, I want you to spend time right now while we are inviting, working on creating 5 posts that answer these 5 questions. So I'm going to give you a second to snap a picture of that, and then we're going to move on to inviting. But if you don't have anything to invite from yet, work on this, and then you can do the inviting part like tomorrow. You can rewatch this. go to Instagram, and hopefully you saw my post the other day, and you can go to a post you've made about coaching. So mine was about income, and I find number one, income is scary to post about. And I'm just going to put a little disclaimer here. Anytime you post about income, you need to make sure you put the income disclaimer, which I can post it in the chat if you need it. And you have to talk about the hard work that goes along with it. You will not make a sustainable income or an income at all just by like signing up as a coach. You have to hit on the hard work, that like the hard work we do, to make sure that you're like following Beachbody's guidelines when you post about income. But I want to say that because posting about income is really important. People need to know that we do make money. And I signed up to be a coach because Megan Seals shared so much about her debt-free journey. So I know to attract people like me who want to work this business, I need to talk about income. I need to do it in a way I'm comfortable with. I need to do it consistently. And I need to be honest about what it's taken for me to now pay. I think I'm like at $36,000 that I've paid off with coaching money alone. It's insane, but I've worked really, really hard for that. So I like to talk about that and make sure I say how hard I've worked. So that's my post. I am going to go through and invite every single person who liked or commented on this post. It is so important though, whenever you're inviting to coaching, that you're inviting to an event. So we have two options really, because if you just say like, hey, have you ever thought about coaching? That doesn't really take them anywhere, and that's a hard conversation really to get flowing. Sometimes that will work out, but the way I usually invite to coaching is one of two ways. One thing we do, which we've not done in a while because we've started something different, but it's called a coach sneak peek. So what it is we'd hop on like this, we would invite people to come and listen, and we would talk about coaching. We would talk about what coaching is. We would talk about how we make money. We would talk about how they can get started. So it's like a webinar all about coaching. So that's one thing you can invite to. And if you want to host a coach sneak peek on your own or with a few people, you go for that. I always encourage that. That's the first way. The second way is to invite to a coach try-on. Is there anybody in here who was in the coach try-on last month? April, I know you were. Anybody else? Okay, so basically what this is, and you are all allowed to invite to my coach try-on. It starts next Monday, okay? It'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And basically what it is it is a real opportunity for people to get in there and try coaching before committing. So what I do is I give them sample workouts, and they do those for free for 3 days. I tell them how to post on social media like a coach for 3 days. And then I tell them how to talk to people about their workouts for 3 days. And then that last day, we have like a sneak peek thing where they can come and ask us questions about what it means to be a coach, essentially. So that's what I'm going to be inviting to today. And I highly recommend that you do the same thing, because you can invite to that, and I'm going to do the work for you to like get the group going. All you need to do is add them into it, and then be really intentional about like keeping conversation flowing with them through those 3 days. Does that make sense? Okay. So my invite from my post is going to be, and I can drop it below right after I type it out. It's going to be, hey, I saw your like on my post about paying off debt with coaching. I'm running a coach try-on next week where you can come and try out coaching for free with no commitment. Would you be interested in doing that? And I'm going to send that same invite to every single person. I don't think I've talked about coaching on my stories much the last couple of days, but if I had, if you have polls, if you did talk about coaching, if you had a lot of people watching or any people watching, you can send the same exact invite to those people as you do from your post. So I'm going to put, let's do 10 minutes right now. And I want you to send invites to the coach try-on. Everybody got it? Okay. Or make your posts, like write your, like draft some posts if you haven't done that. So I'm gonna put myself on mute. I just dropped my invite in the chat box. And feel free to make it your own. Feel free to not use that and say whatever you want. I also want to mention sometimes when I'm inviting, I will notice that I've invited them like 3 other times and they've never responded, but it doesn't keep me from inviting them again because if they're watching, then I'm not going to stop.
How long do you recommend waiting between like inviting someone again?
Well, I only invite to coaching like once a month, so usually once a month, like the last 2 weeks of the month. So usually with coaching, especially, there will have been a month pass before I go invite them again. So, um, yeah, that's never really a big problem for me. But let's say next week I went in and I started inviting again and I noticed that I invited them this week to the coach try on. I probably would be like, she's not interested right now.
Okay.
I'm not going to beg somebody to join it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then we're gonna switch gears. If you didn't finish that, you can feel free to keep working on it. But actually, we're not switching too much. I'm actually gonna ask you to do something that may feel scarier, but probably is more effective. So, some of you that are newer, this might be a little bit harder for, but you can still do it. What I want you to do is go into your current challenge group or take a look at your current customers and invite them to the coaching try on as well. Think about women in your challenge group who are killing it. Think about women who are consistent. Think about women who have positive energy and invite them to come see what this is all about. You probably want to change up your invite because you know them personally. I will not copy and paste this one. I'm actually going to write out, like, let's say her name is April. I'll say, hey, April, I noticed that you have been so consistent in the group, and that's a huge part of coaching. Would you want to come to the coach try on and just see what this is all about and see if it's for you? You're already doing the things. You can make an income doing it too. Something along that nature, but it's going to be specific to each girl I invite. So I'm going to do another I'm going to do 8 minutes for this one. Okay, that's our time, and that is 30 minutes, which is crazy. I know that inviting to coaching can be really super scary, but just like inviting to challenge groups, it's super important and maybe even more important because I think people are more scared to reach out to you about coaching and more hesitant than they are about your challenge groups. So that is all I have. Thank you guys for being here. If you have any questions, you can let me know.